If you're watching this right now, there's a quiet fear sitting somewhere in your chest. A fear that time is moving faster than you are, that your salary comes and disappears, that one day you'll wake up older, tired, and asking yourself why you didn't start earlier. This isn't about money alone. It's about the future version of you who is counting on today. Most people don't talk honestly about money because it carries shame. You earn, you try your best, and still it feels like you're falling behind. Every month starts with hope and ends with pressure. Bills, rent, groceries, school fees, family needs, unexpected expenses that don't ask for permission. You promise yourself you'll start saving or investing next month, but next month comes with the same weight. Slowly, quietly, years pass, and the fear isn't loud. It's silent. It shows up late at night when you think about old age, about not wanting to depend on anyone, about not becoming a burden to your children or your family. When people hear debt reduction and wealth creation, they think in numbers. But this decision is emotional before it is financial. Debt feels like a chain. Wealth feels like a dream. And standing in the middle, infusion. You ask yourself, should I clear everything first before I invest? Or should I start investing even when I'm not debt-free? You look online and find extreme advice. One side says never invest until every debt is gone. The other side says invest no matter what. But real life doesn't work in extremes. Real life is messy, human, and full of responsibility. Imagine someone earning a modest salary. Not poor, not rich. Just enough to survive and support others. There is a loan payment every month. Maybe a credit card balance that never fully disappears. Maybe family members depending on you. In this situation, being told to just invest more feels unrealistic. And being told to wait until all debt is gone feels dangerous too, because waiting often turns into years of delay. This is how people lose time, not because they are lazy, but because they are overwhelmed. Here is the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Time is the most expensive thing you are spending without realizing it. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. And investing is not about being rich quickly. It is about respecting your future enough to start, even when things are not perfect. But this does not mean ignoring debt or pretending it doesn't matter. Debt affects your sleep, your confidence, your choices. It quietly controls your life. So the real question is not which comes first. The real question is how to balance survival today with dignity tomorrow. Think of your financial life like your health. If someone has pain and weakness, they don't say, "I'll only exercise after I'm perfectly healthy." They start slowly, carefully, with respect for their limits. In the same way, wealth creation is not something you delay until life becomes easy. Life rarely becomes easy. Wealth is built in the middle of difficulty, not after it disappears. Many people believe investing requires big money. It doesn't. What it requires is honesty. Honesty about your habits, your fears, and your priorities. When you invest a small amount regularly, even while paying down debt, you are doing something powerful emotionally. You are telling yourself, "I matter in the future." You are breaking the cycle of living only for emergencies and obligations. This small act builds self-respect. It changes how you see yourself. You stop feeling like someone who is just surviving and start feeling like someone who is preparing. But there is also discipline required. Not all debt is equal. Some debt is toxic. High-interest debt drains your energy and steals your future quietly every month. Ignoring that kind of debt while trying to invest is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. You don't need to choose one extreme. You need to reduce the damage while planting the seed. This balance is what most people miss. The emotional weight of delaying investing is heavy. Every year you wait, you feel more pressure to catch up. That pressure leads to bad decisions later. People chase risky shortcuts because they feel late. This is how fear enters investing. Starting small and early removes that fear. It gives you patience. It teaches you that wealth is not built by excitement, but by consistency. If no one has told you this before, hear it clearly now. You are not behind because you are weak. You are behind because life asked a lot from you early. Responsibility came before preparation, and that's not your fault. But staying stuck out of fear will slowly become a choice. A choice your future self will feel deeply. There is a quiet moment many people experience but rarely talk about. It happens when you look at your bank balance after paying all expenses and realize there is almost nothing left. Not nothing because you wasted money, but nothing because you did what you were supposed to do. You supported your family. You paid your dues. You handled responsibilities. And yet, deep inside, there is a small voice asking, "What about me in 10 or 20 years?" That voice is easy to ignore today, but it grows louder with time. Debt often feels like a moral failure, even when it's not. Society teaches us to feel ashamed of it, but most debt comes from trying to live a normal life. Education, housing, emergencies, family needs. The problem is not debt itself. The problem is when debt becomes the center of your financial identity. When every plan starts and ends with repayment, you slowly stop imagining a future beyond it. You stop dreaming, not because you don't want more, but because it feels irresponsible to want more. Wealth creation, on the other hand, feels distant and reserved for other people. People with higher salaries, better luck, or fewer responsibilities. This belief is dangerous because it quietly tells you that patience and discipline won't work for you. That belief is what keeps people stuck far longer than their income ever could. The truth is, wealth creation is not about how much you earn. It's about whether you allow time to work for you or against you. Consider two people. Both earn similar salaries. Both have debt. One decides to focus only on clearing debt as fast as possible. No saving, no investing. Every extra amount goes into repayment. Years pass. The debt is finally gone. But now there is exhaustion, no habit of investing, and fear of starting because time feels lost. The second person also takes debt seriously, but chooses to start very small investing alongside repayment. A small amount, almost uncomfortable in how boring it feels. Over time, debt reduces and investments grow quietly. When the debt is finally gone, something important already exists: momentum, confidence, a system. This is why the question of what comes first is misleading. Debt reduction and wealth creation are not enemies. They are partners when done with balance. Debt reduction protects your present. Wealth creation protects your future. Ignoring either creates pain, just at different stages of life. People who ignore debt suffer now. People who ignore investing suffer later. Wisdom is learning how to suffer less in both timelines. One of the hardest emotional challenges is the fear of doing too little. You invest a small amount and think, this won't change anything. But this thinking comes from comparing yourself to an imagined finish line instead of focusing on direction. Small investing is not about the money at first. It is about building identity. You become someone who plans, someone who thinks long term, someone who doesn't panic when markets move or expenses rise. This identity is what carries you through decades. Another fear people carry is making mistakes. They worry about choosing the wrong investment, losing money, or starting at the wrong time. but waiting for perfect clarity often means never starting. Clarity comes from participation, not observation. You don't learn discipline by reading about it. You learn it by showing up every month, even when it feels boring, even when no one notices. Debt repayment also teaches discipline, but it is fueled by pressure. Investing teaches discipline fueled by hope. You need both. Pressure without hope leads to burnout. Hope without discipline leads to fantasy. Together, they create balance. When you pay debt consciously and invest consistently, you feel grounded. You are handling today while respecting tomorrow. Think about old age for a moment, not in fear, but in honesty. Imagine being older and still worrying about monthly expenses. Imagine relying on others not because you want to, but because you have no choice. This fear is not meant to scare you, but to wake you gently. The future does not arrive suddenly. It is built quietly, through small decisions repeated over years. No dramatic moment announces that it's too late. People realize it only when options become limited. Starting to invest while still in debt sends a powerful message to your future self. I didn't wait for life to be perfect. It tells them you tried, even when it was hard. That matters more than the amount you start with. Over time, income grows, expenses stabilize, debts reduce, and those early investments compound not just financially, but emotionally. You stop feeling helpless. You start feeling intentional. There will be months when you feel tempted to stop investing, to speed up debt repayment. Sometimes that may be the right decision temporarily, especially in emergencies. But the mindset should never be, I'll invest someday. There is another layer to this journey that people rarely discuss, and it has nothing to do with numbers. It is the emotional fatigue of always being responsible. When you are the one others rely on, you learn to postpone yourself. You tell yourself you'll think about investing later, after things settle down. But life doesn't settle down. Responsibilities change shape, but they never disappear. And slowly, postponement becomes a habit that feels safe in the present but dangerous for the future. Many people confuse patience with waiting. They are not the same. Waiting is passive. Patience is active. Patience is doing small, consistent things without immediate reward. Investing is one of the purest forms of patience. It teaches you to respect time instead of fighting it. When you invest regularly, even in small amounts, you learn that progress does not need applause. It just needs consistency. One reason people struggle to start investing while in debt is guilt. Guilt for taking money away from repayment. But this guilt assumes that your future self is less important than your present obligation. In reality, your future self will carry the results of today's decisions more than anyone else. Ignoring them completely aren't responsible. It is avoidance disguised as discipline. At the same time, reckless investing while drowning in high-interest debt is not wisdom either. Balance requires awareness. You look at your situation honestly. You reduce what is hurting you the most. You control lifestyle inflation. You stop pretending small leaks don't matter. And within that structure, you invest something small enough to be sustainable, but consistent enough to matter. This consistency does something powerful to your mind. It reduces fear. Fear comes from uncertainty. When you invest regularly, you begin to understand cycles. You stop reacting emotionally to every change. You realize that ups and downs are normal, not personal. This emotional maturity is what protects people from making destructive decisions later in life, when the stakes are higher. Many people reach a point in their 40s or 50s where income is higher, but fear is also higher. They have money, but no confidence. They delayed investing for so long that they feel rushed. This rush leads to stress, risk-taking, and regret. Starting earlier, even imperfectly, removes that pressure. It gives you the gift of calm decision-making. Wealth creation is not about escaping work. It is about gaining control over your time eventually. It is about reaching a stage where money supports your values instead of dictating them. That stage is not reached suddenly. It is built quietly while you are busy living your life. That is why starting matters more than optimizing. Debt reduction brings relief. Wealth creation brings security. Relief feels good. Security feels peaceful. You don't need to choose one forever. You move through phases. In some phases, debt reduction gets more attention. In others, investing grows stronger. The key is never abandoning either completely. If you are listening to this and feeling slightly uncomfortable, that is not a bad sign. Discomfort often appears when truth touches something real. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you are aware. Awareness is the beginning of change. Most people avoid this conversation entirely. They stay distracted because looking honestly at money forces them to look honestly at time. You are not late, but you are not early either. You are exactly a point where a decision matters. Not a dramatic decision, not a risky one. A quiet decision. A decision to start where you are. To forgive yourself for not starting earlier. To respect your responsibilities without sacrificing your future. To choose steady progress over emotional extremes. This journey requires self-respect. Self-respect is not luxury. It is the belief that your future deserves effort today. When you invest, you are practicing self-respect in its simplest form. You are saying, I care enough to prepare. And that mindset slowly spreads into other areas of life. Spending becomes intentional. Goals become clearer. Anxiety softens. The most powerful part of investing is not compounding money. It is compounding behavior. Small actions repeated over years shape outcomes that feel almost unreal when you look back. But they only look unreal because people underestimate the power of time when they are standing at the beginning. You don't need to fix everything at once. You don't need to earn more immediately. You don't need perfect knowledge. You need a starting point and the courage to begin without certainty. That courage grows with each small step you take. And one day, without realizing when it happened, you will look back and feel grateful that you didn't wait for permission from life to start building your future. There is a moment in everyone's life when they realize that no one is coming to rescue them financially. It's a quiet realization, not dramatic. It happens when you understand that promotions are uncertain, support systems change, and health and energy are not guaranteed forever. This realization is heavy, but it is also freeing. Because once you accept it, you stop waiting and start preparing. Debt reduction and wealth creation are not just financial strategies. They are emotional choices about how you treat your future. Paying debt teaches you responsibility. Investing teaches you belief. Responsibility without belief leads to exhaustion. Belief without responsibility leads to disappointment. A strong financial life needs both, working together slowly over time. If you are carrying debt today, do not see it as proof that you failed. See it as proof that you participated in life. But participation alone is not enough. Direction matters. Every payment you make reduces pressure. Every small investment you make builds possibility. Over time, pressure decreases and possibility grows. That is how balance feels, not dramatic, but steady. Many people wait for motivation to start. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. What lasts is routine. The most powerful investors are not the smartest or the richest. They are the most consistent. They made decisions once, and then followed them quietly, even when no one was watching. Especially when no one was watching. Your first smart investing step does not need to impress anyone. It only needs to be honest and sustainable. Something you can repeat even in hard months. Especially in hard months. Because those are the moments when you prove to yourself that you are serious about your future. There will be days when you question whether it's worth it. Days when progress feels invisible. That is normal. Growth often hides until it suddenly becomes obvious. But by the time it becomes obvious, the foundation has already been built. Quietly, patiently, intentionally. Imagine reaching a stage in life where money no longer feels like an emergency, where choices are made calmly, where helping others does not put your own future at risk. This is not a fantasy reserved for a few. It is the result of ordinary people making ordinary decisions consistently over long periods of time. You do not need to rush. You do not need to panic. But you do need to begin. Beginning is an act of courage. It says, I choose responsibility without fear. I choose hope without denial. And that choice, repeated month after month, becomes your financial story. This channel exists to remind you of one simple truth. It is about protecting yourself. It is about building a future where you can breathe easier, sleep better, and live with dignity. That future is not built in a single decision, but in many small ones. Today can be one of those small decisions. Not perfect, not dramatic, just real. And real is enough to change everything over time